Good afternoon, friends. Stephen Ben-Nun here with Israeli News Live. And yes, we're going to get into another one here on our Patreon channel. This one here, I'm actually playing a clip from the 1998 Godzilla film. And what's really interesting about this particular film is that I'm trying to do this to where we don't end up getting into the copyright issues there. But at any rate there, those of you that remember, I talked about the movie Underwater. I actually have that over here to the left side of my screen, or fixing to pop it up on the left side of the screen there. How this movie is actually based on a real life incident where this unbelievably massive creature comes up in the ocean's floors there. There's been different information that was given to me through intel it's been about a year ago, I guess, that I got that intel there about that creature that came up, believed to be from inner Earth. And that creature was headed towards lands. Those that you remember me talking about that, and how that they ended up using the attack dolphins to kill it using a tactical nuke, in fact, is what I was told. A tactical nuke is what it took to took this creature out. And they said that one dolphin that survived actually comes back with a claw, and I forget the size of it. I mean, it was massive in size. I think they said something like, 20-foot claw or 40-foot claw, something to that effect there. And they really believe from the images that they did capture from the dolphins there that this creature looked very similar to that of Godzilla. So when you see that huge foot come down there, the size of those claws, about 10 feet or so across or long there, this is what they were telling me that this thing actually looked like. Well, the reason why I'm bringing this back up once again happens to be with yet another interesting insight that I picked up from the Colburn document. And again, when I say document, I do not at all subscribe to it as a biblical document, although I have, based on the video I just released over there on iConnectFX.com, hasn't fully loaded as of yet there. I am going into one particular incident where it is clearly prophesying of some things that are coming and that have happened already. So I do see some accuracy in there, but I've also seen some things there that I question. And so therefore, like I've said before, I don't consider it a biblical document, but a document nonetheless. Now let me share with you here one that I found in there. This one right here on GLN 3.5 said, in the old times there were spawned great monsters and beasts in fearful form, with frightful gnashing teeth and long ripping claws. An elephant was but a rat in comparison with them. Then, because of heavenly rebellion and turmoil, and the terror overwhelming the hearts of men, the Great One hardened the face of the land, which had become unstable, and the beasts were changed to stone. This was before times when the destroyer still slumbered in the upper vaults of heaven. Imagine that right there. The destroyer, or Planet X, that was what brought about that destruction. If you think about it, going back to at one time where they talked about the giants, just the Nephilim and how big they were. In one place in the Dead Sea Scrolls, it said that their bodies looked like mountains. Yeah, believe it or not, mountains. That's human beings. Well, if they were that big, imagine then these types of monsters and beasts that were fearful in form, frightful of gnashing teeth and long ripping claws. And yet, seemingly, from the information that we've been given in the past here, this film Underwater was also very reminiscent of what was going on that actually did happen, and the type of creature, which they never really show that creature inside of there, but this was the oil rig that we had, I think is out in the Pacific Ocean there, and I think they show this in the Atlantic, but it's actually, I think, was the Pacific or vice versa, whichever way it was there. This creature created such havoc, and of course they sent in the attack dolphins to take this creature out there, and the film does depict some type of prehistoric type creature that is on the bottom of the seafloor there. Something has awakened, as they put in there. If you ever watch this movie in full, though, you will see it is based on a true story. They do show at the bottom that they classified the information about what really happened, and the people that did survive. There were 2 survivors. They were never allowed to speak about what really took place there on the seafloor there with this massive oil rig that somehow or another brought this creature to surface. I'm Stephen Ben-Nun with Patreon here on Israeli News Live. And I tell you what, let me just real quick though, for the sake of you that are listening there, I mentioned about that, about the Dead Sea Scrolls, and they look like mountains. Maybe I could quickly, just real quick for those that are listening there, because their bodies look like mountains. And let me just see. Here we go, right here. There we have it here. We're in the Dead Sea Scrolls, and we are in, let me just look at the fragment, 4Q266. If you were to look at this in Hebrew, it's actually written right here. I believe that's verse 18 is where it's at, or verse 19. And their sons whose height was like that of the cedars and whose bodies were like mountains. Imagine that. That's Dead Sea Scrolls documenting that. And let's see. Ubenehem, okay, and their sons, Ashar, Korum, Arazim, Gibachem. So massive in size they were. And so yes, just like I said there. So if you had human-looking creatures, Nephilim, that were that big, then it would only stand to reason one of these Godzilla creatures was just much more massive than they were. So whatever they found that came across on that oil rig in the movie Underwater, no doubt was a terrifying scene. And now we find it too in the Cauldron, and right there in the Cauldron there, monsters and beasts in fearful form with frightful gnashing teeth and long ripping claws, and an elephant was but a rat in comparison with them. My gosh, what a crazy, crazy idea. I'm Stephen Ben-Nun with Patreon Israeli News Live. Thank you for your support of this broadcast, and more to come right here on Patreon this weekend. Thank you.